52. Not in Our Name by Faisal J. Abbas, Editor-in-Chief. There are no words too harsh to condemn the horrific attack in the Basilica of Notre Dame in Nice and the stabbing at the French Consulate in Jeddah. Yes, mockery of the Prophet Muhammad, indeed, of any religious symbol, is unacceptable, but so is violence against innocent people, and it certainly must not be carried out in our name as Muslims. There is blood on the hands of those who claim to be defending Islam, but who in reality seek only political gain. Thanks to the malevolent tentacles of Turkey and Qatar, the latest campaign against France has gone beyond politics and is now costing lives. The misuse of religion to score points has always been a favored tactic of malign regimes. Iran is a master player. Its so-called Quds Force should be renamed the Anywhere but Al-Quds Force, since Iran seems more keen on occupying Arab capitals, Sana'a, Baghdad, Beirut, Damascus, than liberating Jerusalem. When Saddam Hussein was cornered, the Iraqi dictator also pretended to turn to religion and added the words Allahu Akbar to the national flag, which was ironic since the Ba'ath regime was known for its atheism. Thus, spearheading the campaign to boycott France fits Recep Tayyip Erdogan like a glove. The Turkish president is on the rack as a result of his aggressive meddling in Libya, Armenia, Greece, and Cyprus, leading to issues with Egypt, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Russia, the EU, and the US. The grassroots campaign in several countries to boycott Turkish goods is therefore understandable, while the campaign to boycott French products is not. Neither President Emmanuel Macron nor anyone in his government is responsible for the ill-conceived caricatures that have caused so much offense, but Erdogan and his government are directly responsible for bloodshed in the countries where Turkey has interfered. As an analysis in Arab News this week made clear, Turkey under Erdogan has gone from a policy of having zero problems with its neighbors to having nearly zero friends. Zero, that is, apart from Qatar, which financially supports Turkey, funds terrorism, and offers prime-time airspace on Al Jazeera Arabic for the Doha-based extremist cleric Yusuf al-Qaradawi to spew his murderous venom against Christians and Jews. O God, take the treacherous Jewish aggressors. O God, count their numbers, slay them one by one, and spare none, he has said. What is particularly idiotic about the current anti-French rhetoric propagated by Turkey and Qatar is that not only does it make every French citizen a target, it also puts French Muslims and their businesses at risk of personal and financial harm. Those who use religion for political gain, who whip up hatred and incite revenge, would do well to learn a little about the faith they claim to profess. The Muslim Hadith on mercy recounts that when the Prophet Muhammad tried to bring Islam to the people of Taif, They responded by hurling stones at him until he bled. The angel Gabriel and the angel of the mountains offered to make the mountains fall and crush those who had hurt him. But the prophet declined and chose instead to forgive. Such forbearance is the heart of Christianity too. In his Sermon on the Mount, Jesus explicitly rejected the notion of an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. He told his followers, "If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also." We live in grave and perilous times. If ever these lessons in tolerance were needed, it is now. United Against Hatred by Arab News in Jeddah. The attacker, Brahim Awissawi, 21, a Tunisian migrant, was shot 6 times by police as he fled the Basilica of Notre Dame and taken to hospital for treatment. President Emmanuel Macron said France had been attacked by an Islamist terrorist over our values, for our taste for freedom, for the ability on our soil to have freedom of belief. And I say it with lots of clarity again. Today, we will not give any ground. The attack took place as Muslims observed the birthday of the Prophet Muhammad. A spokesman for the French Council for the Muslim Faith said, "As a sign of mourning and solidarity with the victims and their loved ones, I call on all Muslims in France to cancel all the celebrations of the holiday." Saudi Arabia condemned the attack. "We reiterate the kingdom's categorical rejection of such extremist acts that are inconsistent with all religions, human beliefs, and common sense, and we affirm the importance of rejecting practices that generate hatred, violence, and extremism," the Foreign Ministry said. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation affirmed its steadfast position, rejecting the phenomenon of hyperbole, extremism, and terrorism in all its forms and manifestations, whatever the causes and motives, calling for avoiding practices that lead to hate and violence. Arab and Muslim leaders drew a distinction between Islam and violent acts that claim to defend it. At Al Azhar in Cairo, the center of Sunni Muslim learning, Grand Mufti Ahmed Al Tayeb denounced the murders as a hateful terror act. He said, "There is nothing that justifies these heinous terror acts, which are contrary to Islam's teachings." Lebanese Prime Minister designate Saad Hariri voiced his strongest condemnation and disapproval of the heinous criminal attack, and urged Muslims to reject this criminal act that has nothing to do with Islam or the Prophet. There was condemnation from U.S. President Donald Trump, UN Chief Antonio Guterres, and European, Arab, and Israeli leaders. "Our hearts are with the people of France. America stands with our oldest ally in this fight," Trump tweeted. Thursday's attack began at about 9 a.m. when Awisawi burst into the church in Avenue John Medicine, the French Riviera city's main shopping street. He slit the throat of a church worker, beheaded an elderly woman, and badly wounded another woman. The church official and the elderly woman died at the scene. The third victim escaped to a nearby cafe, where she died from her wounds. Nice's mayor, Christian Estrosi, compared the attack to the beheading this month near Paris of teacher Samuel Paty, who had used cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad in a civics class. The cartoons caused widespread offense in the Muslim world when they were published 5 years ago in a Danish newspaper. Okay. The cartoons caused widespread offense in the Muslim world when they were published 5 years ago in a Danish newspaper and a French satirical magazine. Their re-emergence has led to anti-French protests in several Muslim majority countries. Saudi held overstabbing at French Consulate in Jeddah by Mohammed Al-Sulami in Jeddah. And this is from the Arab News, the voice of a changing region. Friday, October 30, 2020, Rabi al-Awwal 13, 1442. A Saudi citizen was being questioned by security authorities on Thursday after a guard at the French consulate in Jeddah was attacked with a knife. The security guard, who works for a private security firm, was treated in hospital for minor injuries that were said not to be a cause for concern. The French embassy said it had full confidence that the Saudi authorities would establish the circumstances surrounding the incident. The diplomatic security special forces have arrested a citizen in his 40s after he attacked a security guard with a sharp tool at the French consulate in Jeddah. Makkah Region Police spokesman Major Mohammed Al-Ghamdi said, "The security guard has sustained minor injuries and was taken to the hospital to receive the necessary treatment. The perpetrator has been arrested and statutory measures are being taken against him." The French embassy in Saudi Arabia called on its citizens to exercise caution. It said the French consulate general in Jeddah was the target of a knife attack this morning against a guard employed by a security company. The embassy said it firmly condemns this attack against a diplomatic site, affirmed its full support for the victim, and expressed its confidence in the Saudi authorities to shed light on this attack and ensure the safety of the French sites and community in the country. The Register, the pictures that mark the day. Medina Governor Prince Faisal bin Salman spoke of the support and attention attached by the Saudi government to the health sector of the Holy City during a video conference on Thursday. This was to provide the best ambulatory, preventive and curative services for worshippers at the Prophet's Mosque and residents of Medina, and during Hajj and Umrah seasons, according to the highest international health standards, he said. This came during a video conference organized with the participation of Health Minister Dr. Tawfiq Al-Rabi'a, during which Prince Faisal reviewed new health projects carried out by the Health Ministry in the central area of Medina. The projects covered the development of the new Al-Ansar Hospital, Al-Salam Hospital, as well as healthcare centers. Prince Faisal reviewed the details of the Al-Ansar Hospital project, considered the primary center for urgent care and emergencies, serving worshippers at the Prophet's Mosque. It is the first of its kind to be implemented by the Ministry of Health under a new system with the participation of the private sector. The hospital will occupy a space of 35,013 square meter and have a capacity of 244 beds. The project includes emergency, surgical, and medical departments, an intensive care unit, and a sunstroke and heat stroke unit. The project is expected to be ready in 36 months. Prince Faisal also reviewed the project of the Al-Salam Hospital overlooking the Prophet's Mosque with an operational capacity of 61 beds. The hospital will provide all urgent medical services that were provided at Al-Ansar Hospital as well as urgent care services through pre-screening clinics. The project is expected to be ready in 6 months. Al-Rabi'a said that the projects would promote medical care for patients, including Hajj and Umrah pilgrims, as well as residents of the city, and would improve the performance of health facilities.